Everyone tells you that love is about giving, about holding on, about fighting for it no matter what. But what nobody tells you is that love can destroy you if it costs your self-respect. Back, the hardest lesson I learned is that sometimes the person you have to protect yourself from is yourself. When you stay in love, that forces you to shrink. And once you hear this back, you'll never look at love the same way again. Love teaches us many things, but one of the hardest lessons I ever had to learn is that love is not enough without self-respect. In the beginning, back, we often believe that the more we give, the more it will come back to us. We bend, we compromise, we sacrifice, thinking this is proof of devotion. But when that giving comes at the cost of our own dignity, back, it doesn't create closeness. It creates an imbalance. The person who loses themselves for love doesn't feel appreciated, they feel invisible. And the more invisible you feel, the louder your silent resentment grows. Take it back. We think love will save us from emptiness, but love without boundaries often deepens it. The truth is that loving another person means nothing if you do not also love yourself. Self-respect is not selfishness. Back, it is the foundation that keeps love alive. Without it, everything else eventually collapses. We are told from childhood that love is selfless, that true love means putting someone else above yourself. While there is truth in giving, there is also danger in misunderstanding it. Selflessness becomes self-erasure when it goes unchecked, and no relationship can thrive when one person disappears. Back, love cannot be about carrying another person's happiness on your back while ignoring your own needs. When we do that, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Back, because no one can truly fulfill us if we do not fulfill ourselves. People often confuse endurance with love, staying in situations where their worth is compromised, telling themselves that patience is strength. But patience without self-respect is just quiet suffering disguised as loyalty. To love someone while abandoning yourself is to build a relationship on quicksand. Eventually, it sinks back, and you realize you were drowning long before it fell apart. Boundaries are often misunderstood as walls, but they are actually bridges. They tell the other person how far you can go without losing yourself. Back, and they protect the connection from becoming toxic. Without boundaries, love turns into control, manipulation, or silent resentment. Back, respecting yourself enough to set limits is not about creating distance, it's about creating clarity. People often fear that boundaries will push love away, but in reality, they make it stronger. They say, I value myself enough to show up whole, not half. And when you show up whole, you allow the other person to do the same. Love grows best when both people feel free, not trapped. Without boundaries, back, there's no freedom, only an unspoken pressure to keep giving more. That pressure eventually suffocates what was once beautiful. Self-respect keeps love breathing. Back, one of the most painful realizations is that sometimes we teach people how to treat us by what we tolerate. When we allow disrespect in the name of love, we silently give permission for it to continue. Every ignored red flag, every overlooked slight, every time we stayed quiet when we should have spoken up, it all adds up. Over time, the relationship begins to feel heavy, not because of love back, but because of the weight of our silence. Love without self-respect convinces us that tolerating pain is part of commitment. But the truth is that real commitment does not require you to abandon yourself. It requires two people who are committed not just to each other, but also to their own growth. And growth cannot exist where self-respect has been surrendered. Back. The day you choose to respect yourself is the day you start redefining what love really means. It is often said that love is blind, but in reality, love only blinds those who refuse to see. Back. When we are desperate for connection, we ignore the signs that tell us we are losing ourselves. We mistake attention for affection, possession for devotion, and tolerance for loyalty. But none of these things are love. Back. Love is not supposed to make you feel small. It is not supposed to silence your voice or weaken your spirit. If you have to shrink yourself to keep it alive, then it is not love. It is control. Back. The lesson I had to learn is that you cannot ask someone else to value you if you do not value yourself first. Love magnifies who you already are. It does not create worth where none exists. Your worth was always there. The question is whether you believe in it enough to protect it. Self-respect does not mean you love less. It means you love smarter. Back. It means you recognize that giving from a place of strength creates healthier connections than giving from a place of desperation. Too many people believe that self-sacrifice is proof of their love, but in reality, it is often proof of their fear of being alone. And fear-driven love is fragile. It breaks under the weight of unmet expectations and silent resentment. Back. Respecting yourself means choosing to love without losing your identity. It means standing firm in your values, your voice, and your worth, even when it feels risky. Because the truth is, back. The right kind of love will never ask you to abandon who you are. It will celebrate it, encourage it, and build alongside it. The irony is that the more you respect yourself, the deeper your capacity to love becomes. Get back. When you know your worth, you no longer love out of fear, but out of abundance. You don't cling to someone to fill your emptiness. You share yourself because you are already full. By self-respect transforms love from a transaction into a true partnership. You are not giving to be validated. You are giving because you want to. And that difference changes everything. Back, it shifts love from being a desperate chase to a powerful choice. It allows you to stand in love with open hands, not clenched fists. And when both people love from that place, back, the relationship becomes not just sustainable, but extraordinary. What no one tells you is that love without self-respect often feels intense at first. The highs are addictive, the lows are crushing, back, and the cycle feels unbreakable. But intensity is not the same as intimacy. Intensity fades, leaving behind the emptiness it tried to cover. Intimacy, on the other hand, grows stronger over time, back, and it can only exist where there is mutual respect. Respect is not optional in love, it is the backbone of it. Without it, love becomes dependency, and dependency destroys trust. Hardest lesson I learned is that if I want a love that lasts, I must protect the foundation it stands on. And that foundation is me, standing whole, unapologetic, and rooted in self-respect. At some point, back, everyone faces the choice between keeping a love that costs them their dignity or choosing themselves. It is one of the hardest choices to make because it feels like losing love, when in reality, back, it is finding yourself again. You do not lose love when you choose self-respect. You lose illusion. What you gain is clarity, freedom, and the possibility of love that honors who you are. Back, the deepest relationships are built when both people can look at each other without masks, without pretending, and without sacrificing themselves for approval. That kind of love does not just survive. It thrives. Back. And it begins with the courage to respect yourself enough to demand it. In the beginning of any relationship, everything feels effortless. Both people show up with energy, presence, and intentional effort. Back, conversations feel alive, small gestures feel meaningful, and time together feels like an adventure. But slowly, the comfort of routine sneaks in, and the urgency to impress starts to fade. It back. What was once exciting becomes ordinary, not because love has disappeared, but because effort has been replaced by assumption. We assume love will maintain itself simply because it once felt strong. That assumption is where relationships begin to weaken. Love is not sustained by memories of what was, but by actions in the present. To back, the hardest lesson is realizing that comfort can kill connection if it is not balanced with effort. Love is often mistaken for a feeling, but the truth is love is a verb. It is shown through actions, consistency, it back, and choices repeated every day. When effort is replaced by complacency, connection slowly erodes. The small things we did at the beginning, the compliments, the attentiveness, the patience, become rare. And yet, it back. It is those very things that built the foundation in the first place. Comfort whispers that we no longer need to try, but that is a lie. Relationships are living things. If you stop feeding them, they starve. Back. The security of comfort is only healthy when paired with ongoing effort. Without it, what feels safe slowly turns into distance. Many people confuse stability with stagnation. Stability is built on trust, respect, back, and intentional choices, while stagnation is what happens when growth stops. The danger of comfort is that it lulls us into thinking that stability requires nothing more from us. Back. But love that doesn't grow eventually weakens because human beings are wired for progress. We need to evolve, and so do our relationships. Without deliberate effort, even the strongest bond begins to feel dull. Get back. What once felt alive now feels predictable, and predictability without depth becomes emptiness. The spark isn't lost because love is gone, it's lost because effort stops showing up. One of the greatest lies about love is that if it's real, it should always feel natural and easy. The truth is, anything meaningful requires work, and love is no exception. Just like health requires discipline, or success requires effort, love requires ongoing commitment. That doesn't mean it should feel forced, but it does mean it should be nurtured. Too many people walk away from relationships believing the spark is gone, when in reality, the spark is waiting to be reignited. It is hidden behind layers of neglect, routine, and assumption, but it takes conscious energy to bring it back. Love is work, but it is the kind of work that pays back tenfold if you are willing to show up for it. Effort does not have to mean grand gestures. It often lives in the smallest of things. Listening fully when the other speaks, showing gratitude for their presence, choosing patience instead of irritation. It is in remembering the details that make them feel seen, or creating moments that remind them they matter. These are not burdens, they are investments. Each small act of effort deposits trust, safety, and intimacy into the relationship. When those deposits stop, the account runs dry, and eventually resentment takes over. Love dies not because of explosive fights, but because of quiet neglect. It fades when effort is forgotten. Comfort, when misunderstood, Back. Becomes dangerous because it creates entitlement. We start to believe that the other person will always be there, no matter what we do or don't do. That assumption makes us careless with words, inattentive with actions, back, and ungrateful for presence. Entitlement poisons love because it removes appreciation. Without appreciation, love begins to feel like obligation, and obligation kills joy. Back. The relationship that once felt alive now feels like a burden, not because the connection is gone, but because effort has been replaced with assumption. Comfort should never mean carelessness. True comfort means feeling safe, but still choosing to give effort every day. It is important to understand that effort does not end once love is secure. It begins there. Back. The honeymoon phase is not proof of love's strength. It is simply attraction at its peak. The true test begins when that initial excitement fades and real life settles in. What matters then is whether two people choose to keep investing. Anyone can love when it's easy, when everything feels exciting and new. Take it, get back, but real love is proven when you continue to show up long after the novelty has worn off. That is when commitment matters most, not in the grand declarations, but in the daily choices to try again. The greatest relationships are not built on intensity. They are built on consistency. Intensity fades, but consistency compounds. Back, it is the repeated decision to put in effort that creates deep intimacy and long-term connection. Without consistency, love becomes fragile, easily broken by time, distance, or routine. But when both people understand that comfort is not an excuse to stop trying, the bond only strengthens. Consistency is what transforms love from fleeting passion into lasting partnership. It is the glue that keeps two people connected even when life gets heavy, and it requires effort, constant, intentional effort. One of the most painful truths is that neglect doesn't always look like cruelty. It often looks like indifference, silence, or lack of effort. People rarely leave because of one big moment. They leave because of 1,000 small moments where effort was absent. They leave because they felt unseen, unappreciated, or taken for granted. The erosion of love is almost always slow and silent, creeping in through neglect disguised as comfort. That is why effort is non-negotiable. It is the oxygen that keeps love alive. Without it, comfort suffocates the very connection it promised to protect. The hardest lesson about love is realizing that comfort is not the enemy. Complacency is. Comfort can be beautiful when it is paired with effort, because it creates safety without killing passion. But when comfort turns into laziness, it slowly dismantles connection. Love thrives when both people treat each day as an opportunity to choose each other again. It is not about grand gestures or endless novelty. It is about never letting effort disappear. The moment we stop trying is the moment love begins to wither. And the truth is, nothing kills love faster than taking it for granted. One of the most difficult truths to accept is that love cannot heal what you refuse to fix yourself. Many people enter relationships carrying wounds from their past, hoping that love will act as a cure. At first, the connection feels like a distraction from the pain, a warm shield against old scars. But eventually, those unhealed parts resurface, demanding to be faced. Love may offer comfort, but it cannot erase trauma, insecurity, or fear. Expecting another person to repair what you refuse to confront only sets the relationship up for failure. Take it back. You cannot build intimacy on unresolved pain. The love you receive will never feel like enough until you begin the work of healing within. It is easy to believe that the right person will fix everything that feels broken inside you. Movies, stories, and even culture tell us that love is the ultimate solution. But reality is harsher. No matter how strong love is, it cannot complete someone who refuses to complete themselves. A partner may provide support, encouragement, and presence but they cannot fight your internal battles for you. If you depend on love to heal wounds you ignore, you create pressure no relationship can carry. That pressure slowly turns love into a burden instead of a gift. Love can inspire growth, but it cannot replace responsibility. True healing begins when you decide to confront your pain, not when someone else tries to erase it. And healed wounds have a way of bleeding into everything we touch. Insecurity turns into jealousy, fear of abandonment turns into control, and low self-worth turns into constant doubt. These patterns repeat not because love is weak, but because the person carrying them has refused to face what lies underneath. Love without self-work is like pouring water into a cracked vessel. It never feels like enough. The cracks keep leaking until they are repaired. Relationships then suffer not from lack of love, but from lack of healing. Until you commit to repairing yourself, every relationship feels fragile. The lesson is painful but liberating. Love cannot do the work you keep avoiding. Many people confuse distraction with healing. They believe that if someone loves them enough, the pain will eventually fade. For a while, it feels true because affection can temporarily cover loneliness or silence inner doubts. But distractions always fade, and when they do, the same unhealed wounds rise again, often stronger than before. That is why people repeat cycles, falling into similar relationships, facing the same conflicts, and blaming love for failing them. The truth is, it was never love's failure, it was avoidance of personal growth. Healing requires facing discomfort that no amount of affection can remove. It is your responsibility, not your partner's. Back love becomes toxic when it is expected to carry what only self-work can resolve. A partner can hold space for your growth, but they cannot replace the effort it requires. When healing is outsourced to someone else, back it leads to dependency. Dependency drains both people, turning love into obligation rather than choice. The connection begins to feel heavy, not because love is wrong, back, but because it is carrying a weight it was never meant to bear. Relationships thrive when both people come with accountability for their own healing. Without that, love suffocates under expectations that no human can fulfill. The only person who can heal you is you. Healing is not about becoming flawless, it is about becoming self-aware. The more you understand your wounds, back, the less they control you. Self-awareness allows you to communicate better, love healthier, and manage fears without projecting them onto someone else. Love cannot thrive in the dark. Unspoken pain eventually surfaces. When you choose to heal, you bring light to the places that once caused destruction. This light doesn't make you perfect, but it makes you responsible. And responsibility is what creates trust. Back. When both people take responsibility for their healing, the relationship transforms from fragile to resilient. The irony is that the more you depend on someone else to heal you, back, the further you drift from genuine connection. Because deep down, you know the healing isn't real, it's borrowed. Borrowed healing feels comforting but temporary, because the moment that person steps back, the old wounds return. True intimacy is not about using another person as medicine. It is about sharing your healing journey with them. When you do the work within yourself, you no longer approach love from desperation, back, but from abundance. You don't cling to someone to fix you. You invite them to grow alongside you. That shift changes everything. It takes courage to admit that love alone is not enough. I trust it's easier to believe that someone else can save us from ourselves. But real strength is found in choosing to face your fears, insecurities, and pain head on. That doesn't mean you have to heal alone, back. It means you cannot outsource the responsibility. Partners can be allies, but they cannot be replacements for the work only you can do. Avoiding that truth leaves you chasing love after love, back, always disappointed when the same patterns return. Facing it empowers you to break the cycle. Love cannot fix you, but it can support you while you fix yourself. The hardest truth is that unhealed people often sabotage even the healthiest relationships. They may feel loved, but still doubt it, feel secure, but still fear abandonment, feel supported, but still push others away. No amount of reassurance can erase the pain of wounds that remain untreated. That is why the greatest act of love you can give someone is to heal yourself. Healing makes space for connection, honesty, back, and intimacy without the constant interference of fear. Without healing, love becomes a battlefield of insecurities instead of a sanctuary. And no matter how much love is present, back will never feel safe until the wounds are addressed. Love is powerful, but it was never meant to replace self-work. It can inspire you, uplift you, and walk beside you, but it cannot heal the pain you refuse to face, back. Healing is an internal choice, a responsibility that no partner can take on for you. Until you accept that love will always feel fragile, no matter how much you have. But once you begin to do the work, love transforms. It becomes lighter, freer, and more authentic because it is no longer burdened with unrealistic expectations. Love doesn't heal you, you heal yourself. Love simply becomes the space where your healing can flourish. Back, one of the hardest lessons about love is realizing that deep care is not the same as deep alignment. You can love someone with all your heart, yet still find yourself walking in two different directions. Affection, that chemistry, and connection can feel powerful. Without shared values, the bond struggles to last. Alignment is not about being the same person. It is about moving in the same direction. When visions, priorities, back, and lifestyles clash, love begins to feel like constant compromise. Compromise is healthy in moderation, but when it becomes one-sided, it breeds resentment. Silent suffering often takes root when one person consistently gives up pieces of themselves to keep the relationship alive. Love cannot grow in soil where sacrifice feels unfair. Without alignment, love becomes a heavy burden carried alone. It is tempting to believe that love is strong enough to overcome any difference. We tell ourselves that patience, devotion, and sacrifice will eventually bridge the gap. And for a while, it feels true because love makes us hopeful. But the reality is that love cannot erase fundamental misalignments. If one person values growth while the other avoids change, conflict will always surface. If one dreams of building while the other seeks comfort in staying still, the tension grows. The relationship becomes a negotiation of dreams with one person always losing. Over time, back. The cost of those sacrifices adds up until even love feels exhausting. The absence of alignment transforms what should be harmony into endless compromise. The pain of misalignment is not always obvious in the beginning. Early on, excitement and affection cover the cracks. The differences feel small, even insignificant, compared to the connection you share. But as life unfolds, those differences grow louder. What once seemed like minor disagreements turn into recurring conflicts. Values reveal themselves in choices, habits, and priorities. Alignment isn't about liking the same movies or enjoying the same hobbies. Back. It's about how you see life and what you want to build. Without shared direction, even love begins to feel like a constant uphill climb. Back. And no amount of affection can make up for the exhaustion of pushing against opposite currents. Many people mistake tolerance for alignment. They believe that being patient and flexible is proof of strength in love. Back. When flexibility means bending until you break, it's no longer love. It's self-erasure. Silent suffering grows in spaces where one person consistently puts aside their needs. Over time, back. The weight of what goes unsaid becomes heavier than the love that remains. You may tell yourself it's worth it, but inside resentment builds. The relationship becomes less about partnership and more about survival. True alignment doesn't demand you abandon yourself. It allows both people to thrive without losing their identity. Without that, love turns into a slow burning age. Back. It is important to understand that alignment is not about perfection. Two people do not need to agree on everything to love deeply. What matters is whether they agree on what truly shapes the future values, priorities, back, and vision. If those things are mismatched, the cracks eventually widen into chasms. One person will always feel like they are dragging the other, and the bond begins to wear thin. Love, at its core, back, is about building together. Without alignment, the building feels unstable, no matter how beautiful the connection looks on the outside. The foundation of love is not just affection, it is shared purpose. Without it, back, even strong love eventually falls apart. One of the hardest truths is that walking away can sometimes be the deepest act of love. It is not about giving up or caring less. It is about recognizing that staying would mean both people suffer silently. Leaving is painful, but it protects both individuals from a lifetime of resentment. Sometimes love means letting go, back, not because it wasn't real, but because it wasn't aligned. Choosing to walk away is not failure. It is choosing honesty over illusion. It is admitting that affection alone cannot sustain what vision cannot support. Back, and in that choice, there is freedom. Freedom to find a love that does not demand silent suffering as its price. The lesson of alignment also teaches us about self-respect. To honor alignment, you must honor yourself. Back. You cannot keep sacrificing your values for temporary comfort because eventually the cost becomes unbearable. Love without alignment drains your energy, dims your spirit, and convinces you that losing yourself is normal. But true love should never require you to abandon your essence. Respecting yourself means refusing to settle for misalignment, no matter how much you care. It means believing that love should elevate, not suffocate. The hardest lesson is realizing that respect for yourself must come before the desire to keep someone else. Alignment also creates space for growth. Back. When two people share direction, their love doesn't just survive, it multiplies. Every effort builds toward the same vision, every sacrifice feels mutual, and every challenge strengthens the bond. Back. Love becomes a partnership, not a negotiation. That is why alignment is so vital. It transforms love from fragile to unbreakable. Without it, every step forward feels like resistance. With it, every step feels like progress. The difference is profound. Alignment makes love not just an emotion, but a shared journey that both people are equally invested in. That is where true intimacy is born. It back. The most liberating part of learning this lesson is understanding that love without alignment does not mean failure. It means honesty. It means having the courage to admit that affection is not enough to sustain a future. It back. It means valuing yourself and the other person to acknowledge the truth. And in that honesty, there is power. Power to release what isn't meant for you and power to create space for what is. Back. Love is not wasted simply because it ends. It is wasted only when we stay in silent suffering, refusing to accept misalignment. To walk away is to honor the truth and protect your heart for what deserves it. The hardest lesson I learned about love is that sometimes caring deeply isn't enough to make it work. Alignment is the unseen force that determines whether love thrives or fades. Without it, affection turns into sacrifice and passion turns into pain. But with it, love transforms into something extraordinary, a partnership built on trust, vision, and shared purpose. It back. The courage to choose alignment over silent suffering is not easy, but it is necessary, because in the end, love should not be about losing yourself to keep another. Back. Love should be about building a life where both people can stand tall together without compromise of the soul.